The city feared the name Dante Moretti long before they ever saw his face. His empire stretched from the glittering skyline penthouses to the shadowed docks where whispers carried more weight than contracts. But inside the towering marble mansion that overlooked the river, there was one problem he could not solve with money, power, or fear: his son wouldn't eat. 15-year-old Luca Moretti had everything a boy could dream of: luxury cars waiting for him when he came of age, private tutors, a security team that never blinked, and rooms larger than most families' homes. Yet for weeks, he pushed away golden plates prepared by the finest chefs in the world. French culinary masters flew in overnight. Michelin-starred legends bowed in the Moretti kitchen. Japanese sushi artisans sharpened blades worth more than cars. 50 chefs. 50 culinary artists. 50 firings. Each one dismissed with a single cold sentence from Dante: "My son didn't touch the plate." The staff trembled whenever Luca stepped into the dining hall. The long oak table felt like a battlefield. Silverware gleamed like weapons. Luca would sit silently, glance at the masterpiece placed before him, then lower his eyes and whisper, "No, it wasn't rebellion. It wasn't arrogance. It was emptiness." After his mother passed away 2 years earlier, something inside him had gone quiet. She used to cook for him herself, simple meals, nothing extravagant. Lentil soup. Fresh bread. Spiced rice. Dishes filled with warmth rather than wealth. The mansion's kitchen became a revolving door of talent, but none could recreate what was missing. One rainy afternoon, when even the guards seemed tired of watching the storm blur the iron gates, Luca's car broke down near the old district on the edge of the city. Security panicked, forming a shield around him as mechanics were called. While they waited, a faint aroma drifted through the damp air: onions sizzling in oil, cumin blooming in heat, fresh coriander chopped by practiced hands. Luca turned toward the source like someone hearing a forgotten melody. Across the narrow street stood a tiny roadside stall with a faded blue tarp. Behind a dented metal counter worked a thin woman in a simple cotton shawl. Her name was Amina Rahman. She had kind eyes that carried exhaustion and resilience in equal measure. Her stall had no name, no signboard, no luxury, just 3 aluminum pots and a charcoal stove. Luca stepped forward before the guards could stop him. "Young sir, please," one began, but Dante's son had already crossed the puddled road. Amina looked up, startled by the sight of expensive suits and tense bodyguards crowding her humble corner. "Beta, it's raining. You'll get sick," she said gently, assuming he was just another rich boy curious about street food. Luca didn't speak. He simply pointed to the pot. She hesitated. "It's just dal and rice," she explained. "Nothing special." But he nodded. She served him on a plain steel plate. Steam curled into the cold air. Luca took one bite. The world around him seemed to fade. The guards watched in shock as he took another bite. And another. For the first time in weeks, he finished an entire meal. Every grain. Every spoonful. When the security chief called the mansion to report what had happened, silence filled Dante Moretti's office. "Find out who she is," he ordered. The next evening, a convoy of black cars rolled into the old district. Neighbors peeked through curtains. Amina froze as towering men in tailored suits stepped toward her stall. Dante himself emerged, presence heavier than the storm clouds above. "You fed my son," he said, voice calm but commanding. She swallowed. He looked hungry. Dante studied Luca, who stood beside him with something new in his eyes: light. "Cook for him again." It wasn't a request. Amina's hands trembled. "Sir, I have customers here. This is how I survive." Dante's gaze hardened. "You won't need this stall anymore." Within days, her tiny corner of the street was empty. She was brought to the mansion, placed in a kitchen larger than her entire neighborhood block. Shiny equipment surrounded her. Ingredients imported from every continent filled the shelves. 50 former chefs' shadows seemed to linger in the air. The head housekeeper whispered, "If he refuses your food, you'll be gone too." Amina closed her eyes and remembered her own son, lost years ago to illness because she couldn't afford treatment. She tied her shawl tighter and began to cook, not with fear, but with memory. When Luca walked into the dining hall that night, the staff held their breath. She served him the same simple dal and rice. He took a bite. Then another. He looked at her, not through her, but at her, and for the first time since his mother's death, he smiled. Dante Moretti had faced rival families, federal investigations, and betrayals from within his own bloodline. None of it had shaken him. But watching his son eat like that? It unsettled him in a way he couldn't explain. "You will stay," he told Amina. But what began as a solution to a problem was about to become something far more complicated. Because Luca didn't just want her food. He wanted her presence. And once the Mafia boss's son decides he won't let someone leave, the world listens. If this story is already pulling you in, imagine what happens next. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the twist that changes everything.